So we've talked about lenses, we've talked about their apertures, we've talked about their focal lengths, but there was one other type of lens that I think you really need to know about. It's called a macro lens, M-A-C-R-O. Now, macro is basically close-up photography. The properties of a macro lens are that they will allow you to focus very close to your subject. So, for example, if you wanted to photograph a bee or a fly, and you want to get extremely close to it with the lens so you could fill the frame, you would need a macro lens, because most lenses have what they call a minimum focus distance. The minimum focus distance is how far away the subject has to be from the sensor, not the lens, the sensor, or the film, in order to properly focus. If you see on this camera here, you'll see that line there, circle with a line through it. That is the sensor line, and that tells you where the sensor sits within the camera. So, for example, if you had a lens that had a minimum focus distance of 50 centimeters, it would be that far away from the lens in order for it to focus. Yeah, does that make sense? Now, most lenses have a minimum focusing distance, and it can be quite lengthy, because most of the time you're not going to be right in the face of your subject. Macro lenses have very short minimum focus distances, which allow you to get nice and close to the image, to the subject that you're photographing. So macro lenses are usually prime lenses, but you can get something called close focusing lenses, which are not true macro lenses, but will allow you to get very close to your subject. Now, as well as selecting focal lengths, macro lens can be a very good complement to have within your itinerary, because it'll allow you a lot of flexibility in the things that you photograph. Oh, one more thing about macro lenses. They have what's called a reproduction ratio, which you'll see as a number, a colon, and another number. So a true macro lens is 1:1, which means it produces a life-size image. Anything better than 1:1 means it produces better than life-size, higher magnification, which is a benefit in macro lenses. But a lens ratio like 1:2 implies that it produces a half life size and is not a true macro lens. That would be more of a close focus lens. Useful to look out for when you're looking at macro lenses. It's normally on the lens as a number, colon, 2. So yeah, watch out for that. If it's a 2, you really want a 1:1.